My name is Carina and welcome to the Carina Chronicles. On the 2nd of October 2022, I went to the International Literature Festival Utrecht and then the Young Adult Day. So that is called YALFU. And I had the most amazing time. I'm going to tell you all about it. So since the beginning of this event, I have been going to the Young Adult Day of this International Literature Festival. And every year it seems to be more exciting than the last one. Not because of the authors, they are all great. Also the first year it was great. But they are getting practice in organizing it and it's so incredible. So I'm not going to tell you too much about all my excitement because I have so many more things to tell that this video would literally take like 2 hours. So what we're just going to do, I'm going to be a little bit strict to myself and I'm going to strictly organize this video. What I'm first going to do is tell you which authors came, how their interview went. I wrote down some quotes and I will tell the most important things that they said. I will show you a little clip of when they were on stage and a picture that I took with them because I took a picture with everyone. And then at the end, I will also tell you a little bit about the book market that was there, the things I bought or got in the goodie bag. And then it's over and it will hopefully not be hours long. So I saw that my video of last year was only 17 minutes. I don't think I can do that anymore. I'm just so enthusiastic. I need to tell you everything. Let's quickly start with the first author. So the first person that got to stage was Zoulfa Katouh. I'm so sorry if I pronounce it wrong. The person that was interviewing practiced it so well, but I'm just not really fluent in Arabic and I really don't know how to pronounce the surname, but Zoulfa it is. And she wrote As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow. And this cover is the most pretty thing ever. It's a debut novel and I was so curious to hear why everyone was so raving about this story while it was a debut. So everyone was anticipating this and I'm always like a little bit surprised how authors do that when they have never published something before. But now I understand. Zoulfa is just an amazing person. She is a refugee from Syria and her parents were. She grew up in both Canada and Switzerland. And she now also lives in Switzerland. And she wrote a story about Syria and people there and their decision to stay or go from the place they love because of the war. And it's a story about love, a story about youth, about decisions, about growth, and just about people. And what really shined through her whole interview was the fact that she found it very important to write a story that shows that Syria refugees are still people. They are still people. It could happen to any of us and let's hope that never happens. But war doesn't change that you are still a human being and you have the same needs and the same views sometimes and the same hobbies maybe even or aspirations as other people. So she wanted to write a book for which she said we need to show that these people are more than their situation. And there was actually a girl in the audience that thanked Zoulfa for this because she felt there has never been a book that did it so well as Zoulfa did. So can't wait to read this. A few more things that she said. If you buy this book in England, you get tissues with it because there's literally no one yet that could prove they could read this without crying. So I am kind of worried. Literally everyone cried. Even people that saw this as a challenge cried reading this book. So apparently it's very well written. And the lemons are a symbol because lemons are a symbol of hope, which this story is as well. But there's also this famous poet, and I think the poem is about Damascus, which is the oldest city in the world and is in Syria, if you didn't know. And the saying there is that every lemon will bring forward a new life, a new birth, and therefore as long as the lemon trees grow, there will always be hope. That is kind of, I don't know if I interpreted it right, but that's how she kind of said it. And there's also, like, we have a bike in the Netherlands in every little home. Well, they have a lemon tree. And the lemon trees, because it is the oldest city in the world, they have seen everything happening. So it's just a big symbol. So I thought it was very interesting, and something I also found very interesting is that Zoulfa said that she likes to write every genre, which I am the same. I like to read everything, but I also like to write everything. So she has a fantasy coming, a science fiction coming, a romance, a rom-com, and everything. So this was just her first book to kind of also write off her trauma and get out of the world that Syrian refugees are just refugees. They are more than their situation. But now she's also writing other things, and if everything has this pretty a cover, I need all her books. She was also very kind when we met her. A girl I met at the festival, which I will talk about later, embroidered something for her, and it was the cutest thing when they actually gave it to her. It was incredible, and I got to film that. It was a very beautiful and emotional moment. So I'm already rambling, but read this book. I haven't read it yet, but I know we will all love it. I haven't heard anyone that wasn't sold by this. So next on stage were the three authors that wrote in Dutch. Two of them were actually Dutch and one of them was from Belgium. And that was Rani the Vadder. And she wrote, for example, the Gifgave, which is going to be translated in English. I don't know yet how it will be called and when it will be out, but I will let you know then, because I already read this book and I really liked it. I got it as a review copy and it was so interesting because the main character was so morally grey, or at least she really didn't know where her loyalties were, which made her very unpredictable. And we talked about this when I was going for a signature and a picture with her, and she said that that is also the main critique on the book, that people find the character to be illogical or something, but she said it was really deliberately, because she says, I don't think anyone would know what to do in these kind of situations and would have like a straight plan and be very clear, oh, I want it this way and I'm never going to change my mind. And I agree with her. I think it's very refreshing to find a character that really doesn't know what she's doing. So I really liked it. She came to talk about this book, but actually about all her books. The second part in this one is coming out in November. And I think I will get a review copy. Hamley Books, the publisher, said so. So that would be nice. Rani told on stage that she's not really a plotter. She just writes the story and then things happen. And sometimes she's also surprised. But that makes usually for too long of a story. And then her publisher is like, nah, 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 nah. And she needs to scrap out half of it and kill all her darlings. And she still kind of had a trauma on her other book, Toxine, which literally needed to be cut in half. So she hopes she will someday be allowed to make a prequel out of those scrapped words. Someone from the audience asked the question, what is the difference between writing young adult and children books? Because she also wrote some children books. And for her, the most important thing or difference was that for this story, she really created a world and thought it to be kind of high fantasy. And for children books, she just wants the message to be clear and the story to be exciting, but nothing too complicated. There can be like metaphors, but it's never too worked out and too hidden. It's always kind of plain and just exciting. And I think she's right in that. So really nice to hear from her. And also on stage then was Stefan Raatgever. He wrote the book De Jongen die van de Klif sprong en zacht terecht kwam. And he also made sure there was a soundtrack for this book. And when I talked with him about his book, he said that he hoped he could make a new trend and that everyone was going to do that. And I agree, because the song is really nice. The song is actually called, just as the book, The Story About a Boy Who Jumped Off a Cliff and Landed Softly. And you can find it on Spotify. So really nice. And there's also a playlist of the main character in the book, which I also always really like. This book is about a coming out story. And it's pretty much his own coming out story, but just with some more interesting characters in the book is what he said, like to get it more exciting and not as boring. But it is his own coming out story. And it's not as much a book with homophobia from the outside world, but more homophobia from within. So he really struggled to accept himself as someone who fell in love with boys, and the main character does as well. And it's really interesting. I'm really curious to read this. It was compared to Brokeback Mountain, but then the Dutch version, they called it Polder Queer Romance, something like that, which was funny. So yes, really looking for. Oh yeah, here it says Brokeback Mountain in the Nederlandse Polen. Yeah, that's just really cool. So yes, I can't wait. And he was so kind. He was so surprised someone actually bought his book, which is... Don't be so shy and insecure, of course we do. And I can't wait to read this. And also on stage at that moment was Nadine Swagerman, the author of Aan de andere kant van geluk. And this is also a coming out story, but also a story about a broken family. So the parents are divorced, which is also kind of autobiographic. But the coming out story was not. Although she is indeed a lesbian, just as the main character, her coming out was really hard and troublesome and comparable to the one of Stefan Raatgever. But the person in the book doesn't find any difficulties. She loves herself and there's no internal homophobia. It's more the way Nadine Swagerman wished she would have her come out. So that is really interesting, I think. She really made me speechless, because I was there asking her if she wanted to sign my book, and she was like, "You have a familiar face. Don't you have a YouTube channel?" And I was like, "What?" So this is literally the first time I've been recognized. I feel famous now. No, but it was really fun. It was really fun. She is really nice and I'm really curious to read this book. And especially the part where she's coming out easily, because indeed we don't see that often in books. And I like to read about a character for a change that really loves themselves, because I think that can be very inspiring, actually. So the next book I'm really so excited to talk about, because the author was the funniest person I've ever seen on stage. She was hilarious. I quoted down everything, so I hope I can remember still. But that is Violet Made of Thorns by Gina Chen. So this is actually kind of a rom-com. I didn't know that, but it is. Like a 1900s rom-com, Gilmore Girls, 10 Things I Hate About You, kind of fantasy romance. And the way she talked, I was so curious. I can't wait to actually read this. So apparently a lot of people think this is enemies to lovers romance and are disappointed when they read it. But she said, I want you to know that's never how I called it. So you can't be disappointed in that because it is not an enemies to lovers. How she would call it is a disappointments to lovers. Because the main characters, there's like a main girl who is a very bad and a liar. She's a fortune teller, but she lies. She never tells the truth. And kind of a prince that needs a wife. And this girl is like, I can be his wife, then I can be a princess. And he is like, I can fix her. So their main goal is like, he thinks, oh, I can fix her. And she thinks, ooh, I can make him worse. So that is the main plot. And that sounds interesting. She'd been to the Netherlands for a while now, just for this event and some other things. And she went to the Efteling, which is an amusement park that we have. She was so extremely excited about this that half of the talk actually was about that. And I think that's really funny. She was just so sweet and funny and creative as well. She drew a lot of art for the book herself that we could take and look at. So yeah, really, really excited for this. And it is actually a New Year best-selling at the moment. So yeah, can't wait to actually pick this up. It's very different from what I expected it to be. So curious. A romance fantasy. But she sounded funny. So I hope I like these kind of romances. So the last person on stage was actually the big name of the day, and that was Mackenzi. And she was going to talk about the last part in the Montague siblings series, of which the first part is the Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, which if you watch my videos, you know I've just read. Literally, I needed 100 more pages when I went to the festival, and she spoiled the ending of the first book. So that was a shame, but yeah, then I should have read it before. She was actually really funny, and she's also an author of Marvel, which obviously that is really impressive and really cool. I really liked the book, so I can't wait to read the rest of the series. What I thought was very interesting as well is that she actually wrote this book as a distraction because she was writing another book that didn't work out. It was a sequel to the first book she wrote, her debut novel. But the debut novel didn't succeed at all, but the publisher already contracted her for a sequel, so they had no choice. But she really couldn't write it, so every time to treat herself, she wrote something funny in this book instead when she worked on it, when she published some words. So in the end, the publisher said, okay, a sequel is not going to work because the first book flopped really. But we contracted you, do you have something else? And then she came with this. And it was actually a success. So much a success that there came 3 books out of it. She wrote this as a standalone, which I find unbelievable because this book is about a man and his sister is the most incredible character ever. And the second book is about the sister. I can't believe that she did not intentionally make this a series where we also talk about the sister. How could she not plan that? But okay, the publishers made her do it, so that is great. We now have a book about the sister, and their very younger brother is the third part, which is also really interesting because the younger brother is like 18 years younger. So we follow him in the third book when he is also becoming a young adult. So Monty from this book and his sister Felicity are then already like in their 40s, which is really interesting. When do you ever get to see characters when they are fully grown up and have grown up problems instead of their YA problems in a whole book form? You never see that. I'm so curious about that. So a few more things that she said that I found very notable were first someone asked how she came to write at Marvel, and she was like, well, it was very much a coincidence. They needed someone to write about history more, that would come more into Marvel, and also the YA part didn't really lift off, so they needed new authors for that, and one person responsible for finding new authors was actually reading The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue at the moment. So they contacted the agent of Mackenzi Lee, and that agent contacted Mackenzi Lee and was like, hypothetically, would you like writing for Marvel? And Mackenzi Lee was like, this better not be hypothetical. That is the cruelest joke ever. But it was not. And she actually got to write for them. So that was really cool. And also, if you don't know, this is an LGBTQ plus representation book in the 17th century. And she found that very important because she thought and thinks, and I think I agree, we are really whitewashing men, hetero, one white man, straight man, washing history, because not everything was white men, straight. There were other stories that were important, so she really wanted to write that. And it is a spoiler, but she said, I want everyone to know when they go in, it will have a happy end, because not all those stories need to end badly. It will have a happy end. It will not be like, oh, I love you, so I need to let you go because it can't happen. It will be, because I love you, I bang you. That's what she literally said. So I like that. I love this book and I want to know more about the series. So I'm definitely going to read more of that. Also, a thing that I found very interesting, she is writing parts for Loki in Marvel, and someone asked how she could make that her own. While Loki is already a very famous character and has been written by very, very numerous of authors. And she said it took her a lot of time, so she also talked about it for a while. But the conclusion was, I'm hired to write my version of Loki and not to write theirs. And I think that's very brave because she did a very good job. So yeah, that was really nice as well. After all the authors were on stage, there were also 3 TikTokers, famous Dutch TikTokers, and they were talking about how TikTok made books really suitable for young adults again. Young adults and also children are reading a lot more in the Netherlands than they did, like I would say before COVID. And TikTok was a huge part in that. And some people from the audience that were actually teachers at high school asked the TikTokers what they could do to make their children also read books suitable for school. And a few tips that they gave were make sure the books are relevant for the problems that the young people of this age actually, and this time in the world, have to overcome. Because the biggest problem with older books is that they don't portray the right problems. Maybe in metaphors they do, but the actual setting is not recognizable for the students, and that's usually what makes them dislike the books. Also, they said, please approve audiobooks because it makes people at least enjoy the story and let their creativity go. and it does a lot of all the things that physical books do as well, but can be a little bit less of a burden, and just go with the flow and with the flow of time, and let them read whatever they want to read. If they can tell you enough about it, they actually read, and that's what you want, right? I did agree with them on that. So there was also a big book market, and I actually got to walk over the book market and be with all the authors together with someone I have never seen before, but we just met spontaneously, it clicked, and we decided to spend the whole day together, which was really nice. I have a picture of her, she's called Brit. You can follow her as well. I will leave her social media down below, but it was really nice. It was really nice and so fun to meet someone new, which you have the same interest in, and it clicks immediately. She could take pictures of me, I could take pictures of her, so that was great. But I actually also walked with her over the book market. Didn't buy a book because I already owned way too many. But I did buy a bookmark, which I never do. But I was wearing my jumpsuit with the flowers. I think you saw it in other videos, but also on the pictures that I just shown you. And then I walked in to this cute bookmark. And I mean, there's nothing that fits that more than the jumpsuit of mine, so I needed to have it, so I bought it. And we of course got a goodie bag at the end, and the goodie bag contained 2 books this time, and there were actually 2 popular titles, but everyone had different books. I've heard many titles, almost all of them were on my TBR, which is great. There were 2 books that I had read already, so I hoped I would not get one of those. I actually ended up getting one of those, but I immediately turned them back and I was like, please, can I have another? I have those books, please. They were like, okay, fine. But then I actually got a book that I was not interested in, but maybe I will love it in the end. But whoa, this cover is nothing for me. The topic is nothing for me. Everything about this screams, I am not for Karina, but okay. That is Shine by Jessica Jung. And this is a K-pop romance story. Yeah. I don't know, that it sounds like so not for me, but okay, I got it. It's a shame when I saw all these books by Ruda Sepetys and by Pamela Sharon, of which I own all the books except one, and that one was in the goodie bags as well. And yeah, so many things, and I got this one, but okay. The other book that I got was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson, and that one actually was on my TBR. I literally 2 days ago was like, shall I buy it, shall I buy it? And I was like, why would I? But so many people were talking great things about it, like the greatest things. All the booktubers I love this book. All the people that buy it from the bookstore love this book. The series is so popular, so yeah. Wanted to buy it, didn't do it, got it for free now. So that is great. So great goodie bag again. There were some bookmarks as well, they were pretty. But for typical books, so I never really used them. That was actually everything we did, I think. So as you could hear, I actually had the greatest time at the Young Adult Festival. I can't wait for next year. I'm already excited. I also can't wait to read all these books. They are incredible. All the authors were so kind. They inspired me to write again, to read more, and it was incredible. I hope you liked this video. Let me know if you've been here or any other events that I should go to, because I love this. And if you liked the video, please leave a like. If you subscribe to my channel and click the notification bell, you will be notified whenever I post a new video. I hope you'll have a lovely day filled with books, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye! I really hope you liked this video. I have enjoyed this Young Adult Festival so much, and making the video was also very, very fun. I have had the best time ever. I hope you will enjoy this video.